very low. In some cases, very, very low. Like we've got some major trust issues in some organisations we've been in, and we've had to start from from some basic beginnings to try and sort of build that back up. So so the Agile Manifesto states that we build teams around motivated individuals and trust them to get the job done. Yeah. So something experienced sometimes with some organisations, they're embracing Agile and they're expected to be trusted to get the job done. But does that happen overnight? No. So trust takes time. It takes time to build up. It's not something that's just going to change overnight. It takes a bit of time to build trust. Okay. So I've been in situations where I've seen teams where, we're an Agile team. We're going to deliver to operation. We're going to deliver to live to operations. And Mr. Operations Manager, here's our code. Can we just put that into production now, please? And they get pushback, and they're like, oh, but we're an Agile team. We've got definition done. We're doing sprints. All our testing's now in our sprints. Why not? Perhaps the operations manager's like, well, wait a minute. I'm not going to put your code into my live production environment. I don't really know what you guys are about. I've heard this, I've heard that, but there's a lack of trust. Yeah. So that's one kind of common one I've seen quite a lot of times with Agile teams having some issues or some barriers or challenges, and having the rest of the organisation trust them more downstream into route to live and things like that. Okay. So trust is a highly emotive and personal thing. I first personally started delving into trust a bit deeper. My past experience as a volunteer charity worker. Has anybody heard of Venture Scotland at all? A few nodding heads, good. Yeah. So Venture Scotland was actually started by a bunch of volunteers that went on Operation Rally many years ago, or Rally International. So I went on a number of rally expeditions, and on Rally we're called venturers. And so when we first came back around about 88, 89, a bunch of the venturers, there's 4 challenges to get on Rally. There was getting selected to go on the expedition, and a bit of a Bear Grylls type selection weekend to get on it. The second thing was fundraising for the expedition. The third thing was actually doing the expedition itself. And the fourth challenge, when you came back, putting something back into your local community. And so we formed Venture Scotland. And literally it was a bunch of volunteers from expeditions. We went off and said, let's go and do outdoor pursuit-based weekends up in Scotland. And we got a nice bothy in Glenetive. You ever seen Skyfall, James Bond film? Driving down that lane, that's Glenetive. So we were down there with our bothy, beautiful spot. We're taking young adults, 16 to 25-year-olds that came from, if you like, challenged backgrounds, socially disadvantaged backgrounds, up there to sort of do outdoor pursuits-based activities. And these young adults, they came from a variety of different backgrounds, some social work, some probation, some addiction type situations. And we were a bunch of volunteers, and we're up there running these weekends. And to be quite open, sometimes we got into some challenging behaviour situations, and a few weekends started going well off the rails. And we were like, we're a little bit out of our depth here, we're getting out of depth. And so one of the social work groups said, look, you guys as volunteers need training. So we went off on a residential weekend ourselves with a social work kind of expert, and that's when I first got exposed to trust, and he started delving into trust. And the main thing that I got out of that was that trust starts with you personally. If you're looking for why are they not trusting me as an individual or as a team, you've really got to look at yourself first and understand your own behaviours and ways of working on. And that's why, once you understand that, then you can maybe start trying to think about why you're not trusted by others. Okay? So that was my first kind of exposure to that. Another thing what I'm going to talk about tonight is a technique that came from this book here called The Trusted Advisor, okay, by Meester, Green and Galford. They've done a lot of research on trust. This goes back to 20 odd years before, we're talking about Agile and so on. And one of the things, so I'm going to share one of the techniques there that they talk about, and I've found this quite useful in a lot of situations with agile transformations and agile teams, about just a starting point of thinking about trust and how are we trusted, whether as an individual or as a team, and using this kind of what's called the trust equation. It's at least a starting point to start understanding about trust and how to build it. Okay, so the trust equation has 4 elements in it. Credibility. So this is, what do you think this might be about? Any thoughts?
Track record, some kind of.
Track record, yeah. Credibility, your experience. Yep. Yep. Yeah, that's one of the things about credibility. So are you believable? What's your track record? Yeah. Anything else?
It feels like it might just be first impressions almost.
First impressions come into it?
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Great. Consistency is a good one. I think it'll come into our next actual element, but yeah, hang on to that thought. Yeah, but things like presence, content expertise. Yep. It's all about, if you like, things that what you say, words. Okay? So presence, how you come across. So you walk into a doctor's office and you don't know this doctor, you've never been to them before, and on the wall they've got all their plaques with their diplomas, degrees, and all this kind of stuff. You feel maybe a bit more comfortable. You feel like you've got more some credibility there. Yeah. And they come across very, the presence is very, informed, etc. So they seem to have a lot of content expertise. So you start thinking in terms of trust that they're credible. Okay. So that's one aspect of trust, is credibility. Another aspect is reliability. Okay. Exactly. So reliability is about doing what you say. So are your actions linked to expectations? So here's what we say about ourselves, or here's what we portray about ourselves. Do we actually do what we say? Do we build up that reliability? So reliability is also very important for building trust. So one prepared error, consistency. Yeah. And you do what you say. Yeah. And you're dependable. Yeah. All these things are linked into reliability. Okay. Third one, intimacy. So we're getting to a bit more sort of touchy-feely stuff now. Yeah. So intimacy. Yeah. So if you like, this is more about an emotional connection that you might have. Where these things might be a bit more factual, factual-based stuff. Here's what we're saying about ourselves, and do we do what we say? Intimacy is definitely a much more emotional connection with an individual or a group. Are you open and honest with them? Is there mutual respect? And do they feel comfortable with you? So developing an intimate a relationship with somebody is that you actually feel comfortable maybe discussing some things a little bit more riskier with you, and so on. So intimacy is another important part of building trust. Okay. So it's about mutual respect, being honest and open, and this is a difficult one, and this is something that again takes time to building up that relationship where people start to feel more comfortable with discussing things that are, what do you think about this? I just want to run this past you. Sometimes people won't feel comfortable doing that with somebody they don't really know. Yeah, so it's about building that up. The fourth one is self-orientation. So, what does that mean, self-orientation? So this is all about agendas. Yeah, what's your agenda? What are your motives, for example? And do you care about me? What's your motives? And so I'm an agile team. I want to release this code into production. I'm the production manager. Why should I let them release my code in production? They're wanting to do this every 2 weeks. Oh my, what on earth, you know? Every 2 weeks they're going to release code into production. You know, what about all my kind of checklists I've got to pass through here? How is that going to be satisfied? All my regulations I've got to satisfy. How are they going to satisfy all that? Yeah. So it's about, you know, from a relation point of view, it's about understanding, well, what do they care about me? It's all about empathy, basically. So they understand what my motives are and my needs are. Okay. So that's the 4 elements in the trust equation. And it is an equation. So out of these 4 elements, do you think any one of them is more important than anything else? All about the same?
I would like to hope that intimacy was most important.
So
Depends on what point you are in your relationship, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in a building a trust path, basically.
yeah. Yeah.
I would have thought that reliability was one of the more significant ones.
Mm-hmm. Reliability.
There we are.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. So these guys done a bunch of research on this, and what's came out of their research, this is going back 20 years, and I think it's still relevant today, is that trust, right up here, trust equals credibility plus reliability plus intimacy, but it's divided by self-orientation. Right? That's quite surprising, and I think that's what one of the key things I'd like to try and get across is that what they found is that low self-orientation is the biggest contributor to improving trust and to building trust. Yeah? So what does that mean? That means that it's very important that if you're trying to build a trusted relationship with somebody, that you have low self-orientation. So that's about developing a trust relationship. So I'm trying to release production into my software into production. What I perhaps need to be doing is, rather than sort of why can't you release software? We're great. We're this. We're fantastic. We're an Agile team. We're doing all this CI/CD stuff. What's the problem? Is maybe try and start understanding from the perspective of the other party. Yep. Sorry. Question. Yep.
You've got empathy down as then being a bad thing.
No. So
If you have lots of empathy, then that's going to be a high self-orientation.
yeah, high self-orientation is well. If you have high self-orientation, yeah. If you're focused on me and what we need, yeah, then this number goes up, if you like, and trust goes down.
Yeah.
If you have low self-orientation, i.e. high empathy,
Oh, I see.
yeah, got you, yeah. So it's very much about trying to have low self-orientation. If you like, understanding, being empathetic, high empathy about what our party's needs are, understanding their needs, and you may not always agree with them, but one of the key things is understanding their needs and having a discussion about how we can work together to both have mutual benefit and mutual needs, yeah, mutual gains, yeah.
Although,
Yeah.
following that, it's actually a little bit more than mutual benefit. It's actually having more benefit to them.
I think a good starting
build
point.
trust.
Yeah. So it's an interesting point. So perhaps depending, so it gets into where you're starting from, and sometimes we're in situations where, you know, trust is down the toilet between two different groups. You know, we've been in a situation where we've had different interviews or sessions with different parties, and it's clear as day, major problem to solve. And so each party individually, we're trying to work with them to think, okay, they understand this, and we all want this to be successful going forward. How do we start building up that trust? And it really is starting to think about, what is their, really understanding at a deeper level, what is their needs, and how can we satisfy their needs whilst also trying to accomplish what we're trying to do as well. Yeah.
In the example you gave, you're obviously talking about,
Yep.
your kind of DevOps team or
Yep.
your operations team. Would you say that the issues around self-orientation would seem to be, and I've definitely worked with teams where it's broken individually in the team. Obviously, the example you gave was essentially kind of a silo gap, wasn't it? It was the a team trying to jump something over the fence to.
But it happens in all sorts of other situations as well. Yeah.
Well, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then is that then because to me I would say that the power of that, of empathy in that circumstance is me coming to them and saying, rather than here's my code to deploy, it's how can we work together to get the code out? It's collaboration.
Yeah.
And that's almost like a balance because it increased my trust, or my trust as me on the operations team, when I see that they care about my needs. If they've said, oh wait, this person actually cares about all of the crap that I have to deal with, my long checklist and all the regulation and everything else, and my trust goes up for them because I feel they care about me. Whereas the same go, and vice versa. Suddenly you go with a collaborative attitude and you think, hey, this guy actually does want to ship my code. I thought he was just a blogger.
So there is a bit of a mutuality there. But you're asking, so both sides are asking the question, do they care about me? So it needs to be ultimately a bi-directional relationship. Yeah, it can't all be one-sided. And that's the other thing I'd introduce. How are we doing on time? We're doing okay? Yeah. So I'll stick it on the side here. So building trust, there's a 5-step process that they talk about in sort of parallel to the trust equation. And that's basically engage. So are we showing interest, concern? So we're engaging with other party, other team, individual. Are we actually showing interest and concern about understanding their situation? Then the key thing that kind of hooks into all this is listening. So do we actually really listen? Do we understand their factual needs, but also some of the emotional needs? And do we feed that back? Yeah. So it's into understanding and empathy, the thing we talked about before. Yeah. The next part of the 5-step process is frame. So we're trying to put things into perspective. We're trying to say, okay, so part of listening is feeding back, and so let me understand I've got this correct. If we do this, this, and this, is that going to satisfy your needs? Oh yeah, okay, right. I just want to check. Can I check this scenario out? What about this? And so we're listening. We're checking. We're putting things in perspective. We're trying to frame a situation, and then what we're trying to work towards, and this kind of goes into some of the Agile stuff, is envision. So let's develop a shared vision about let's talk about some ideas, some possibilities of how we can actually work together and improve together. So we're talking about possibilities and ideas in this vision phase. So this is when we might have shared vision statements, perhaps within a team or for outwards, but we also might have between two different groups. Let's develop a shared vision how we're going to work together going forward. Then we're in the final stage into commit. So commit is more about into actually doing. Yeah. Okay, let's commit to actually do. Let's try this out. Let's commit to do this now and actually make it happen. So into sort of realization, solutions, and ultimately then into our if you like, our plan, do, review, incremental life cycle loop and going forward. Yeah. Okay. So that's the five-step process there. Yeah.
Stephen?
Yes.
I wonder if there might sometimes be usefully a step between envisioning and commit. Commit's a scary word to most of us in the ways that we use it most times in different emotional contexts. But sometimes you might create a deal where you have a time-bound or an event-specific agreement to experiment and mutually learn and review.
Yep. So we might do.
It's like an interim or an incremental commit.
Yeah.
And it can be distinct,
Yep.
It recognises that there's trust to be built, understand to be built, but the shared experience will get you there.
Yeah, absolutely. So we might commit to just do one thing, review it, and then we revisit that. So yeah, commit. It's the terminology used as part of the building trust 5-step process, part of the trust equation, but it's agreeing to, if you like, deliver or at least try something out in reality. Yeah. So this is actually like the doing part. Up to this stage, we've probably been mostly talking and building a relationship. This is actually a part where we're actually going to actually do something. Now that could be absolutely a little pilot, a little test, and let's see where we go from there. You know, and sometimes I've seen a lot of groups where trust is very low. You absolutely starting off very, very small. Start off small. Let's take a little baby step towards a different way of working, and see how that goes. We build up some reliability. We've actually done what we've agreed to do, albeit small, and then we build it from there. Yeah. So it is, yeah. So absolutely, I think in a lot of cases, starting small is definitely a way to go, as opposed to a long-term commitment. Yeah. Yeah. Good. Yeah.
I mean, so I guess one of the interesting things is, so what happens when you've got two people who've been in conflict and their trust is very low? So you might be able to deal with the factual aspects of it, but there's an emotional pain there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So are there ways that you suggest to get over that beyond going out and getting smashed together? You know, like, how is there an alcohol-free way of doing this?
Yeah, I'm sure there is. Yeah, there's.
But you've never tried it.
Yeah. So, well, I guess in the context of agile teams and agile working, we're in a different context from some. This is universal. This can be applied across a lot of different domains, etc. We're normally talking in workplace situations, and there's maybe been some major fallouts between different parties and etc. And so on. And again, it's about start. And there is situations where, for the trust equation to work effectively, ideally all these things are working well, and we've got low self-orientation. If intimacy is low, if that's very low, then it's going to have a factor on the trust equation. But the key point here is that self-orientation is probably the one that's the key one. So we tend to taking in small steps to try and understand what are the different needs of two different individuals or groups or teams, and working on understanding these needs, shared vision statements and so on, and using that and trying to keep, sometimes in some ways when we've got a very highly emotive situation, we sometimes try to take the emotion out of it a little bit on that sense and try and keep it, okay, what are the different needs? And again, through a bit of a time, sometimes the intimacy and the emotional connection can start to build up again. But yeah, and it's so intimacy gets into being open and mutual respect, being open and honest, and it takes both people to want to do that. Yeah, and sometimes
you've got conflict like that. The self-orientation high in both parties.
Well, yeah, you're going to get, if you've got high self-orientation, that's
If you want to have that conflict, it means you're centered on your own needs and you're not thinking about the other person.
Yeah. So we've been in organisations where that is the case. So by using the trust equation and helping delve into this, and maybe sometimes do little mini assessments that help them understand, well, this is why we've got this problem. This is why we've got this issue. And then we're trying to find a common ground. Do we all want to move on from here, or do we want to keep in this situation we've got forevermore? And most people, say, well, we need to move on. We've got to move on as a business to develop and foster and to be agile and be successful. We need to move on. Yeah.
To assist.
Yeah.
But what if I'm very not self-oriented at all?
Mm-hmm.
I'm very empathetic towards your needs, but you insist on being wrong about that. Exactly what you're wrong. What do I do to get across that?
So, I understand this. And you're feeding back that are you feeding back their needs, and they're just not accepting that you understand their needs, or Right. So what is it I don't understand about your needs? Please help me understand more about your needs that I'm not understanding. Because I think I'm trying my best to understand your needs, and I think I've got them all covered. I thought I had them all, but obviously not. What bits am I missing? Yeah.
So it could be, I suppose maybe in that case you wouldn't be, I may not see you as the, I'm thinking of this hypothetical, I may not see the person as being a credible source. You can have great intimacy with them, I've known them for a long time.
Right.
They've consistently been wrong.
Right.
They've been very reliably wrong.
Right.
For their entire life.
Right, okay.
Do you have someone in mind?
Is this workplace or is this like...
There's a few.
Yeah,
I can quite imagine the situation where you go, oh yeah.
Yeah.
We've come together. We've had this bust up in the past. We've come together. We've had this chat about this
Yeah.
now. We've both agreed that we both think each other are assholes or something like that. Like there's quite a.
Yeah.
You get to the point. You get okay, fair enough. I'm going to agree to not argue about the thing that you think is really valuable. You will agree not to argue about the thing that I'm really valuable. It's not really a trust situation.
Right.
So we agree to not have a fight about this anymore, but it's not. We still don't really trust each other.
Yeah. So that's
Like
so.
sort of a stalemate kind of thing. We'll just get on,
Hmm.
and it's a recipe for a team which it appears to be functional certainly.
Yeah.
But if you dig a little bit deeper, you go.
Yeah. So it's So to be honest, that sounds like the issue's been skirting and dancing.
That's anyone's relationship with the security department.
Yeah.
You can still agree.
Yeah.
An agreement to disagree on a point, especially if it's there's always kind of technical disagreements on software teams, aren't there?
Yeah.
And those sorts of things, they can be solved with an positive attitude towards experimentation. Okay, look, we've got two opposing views. Okay, let's run some experiments. What's the cheapest way we can prove, which is the best option for our team? It also, if it is just an academic disagreement, then just agreeing to disagree is part of building that trust. Okay, fine, we can respect each other's differing opinions. It's possible to have very, very good relationships with people that you have very strong disagreements with, as long as you are respectful of one another.
Yeah. So
doing something like, if you both agree trust is lacking, and you both understand the structure of the 5 steps, get a trusted coach or third-party facilitator, sit down, and consciously do a retrospective on your prior relationship up to that point. And rather than asking the other person, please restate your needs because I haven't understood them, put yourself in a more vulnerable position of stating what you think their needs are up front to demonstrate your understanding. And then they can point out some gaps if there are any things like that. But maybe then consciously go through the 5 steps again, but together. With that trusted facilitator in the room to keep you both honest. And use the cards. Do the cardinal things. Put the cards up on the wall for the things, needs, and the whole retro thing, because the kinesthetic thing about letting go of the card and putting the concept up on the wall and not owning it anymore is more important than ever in those situations where trust is broken down.
Well, I think the point of vulnerability, I was a bit surprised to see vulnerability not on that board there. I think that
it's next talk.
That's a massive way to prompt it. Trust. I don't know if it's on the intimacy thing or any of those particular ones, or if it's on the self-orientation point. Is that if you can show that you are able to be vulnerable and you can
so
that too.
I'd put that definitely under intimacy. So honesty and openness, showing that you are vulnerable. So one of the
that you don't know the answer.
And so it's been again one of the points to make. Credibility is improved by saying what you don't know as much as what you do know. Yeah. So, somebody says like, I don't know all these things here. Actually, people, actually increases credibility for people to be quite open and honest and say, look, this is what I do know. Well, I think I know this stuff, but I don't know this stuff across here. Yeah. For people that come across as being quote unquote know-it-alls, perhaps start, in terms of the trust equation, that'll start, credibility starts going down and so on. Yeah. So.
There's another interesting technique called bomb dialogue, which is, it came out of research of tribes, If you've got a small group of people and you get them to talk, yeah, oftentimes you don't have to even say what to talk about. It could be completely unrelated from the event.
Yeah.
I forget Jack Ball, he was he was a nuclear physicist and then he went into sociology. And what he's saying is if you get groups of people and get them to talk about anything, it could be football, it could be anything. I know the ACAS and the trade unions people love to get people just to sit and talk about 1966 World Cup, where were you? And get people to start sharing their stories and things about common events,
Yeah.
And after that talking, people will get up, walk out of the room, and there'll be more trust.
That's because you've got an emotional connection there.
Yeah, so you're starting to build a basis for intimacy or having some common, non-technical, non-sort of domain-specific, relationship there. So we might feel a bit more comfortable. 'Cause I know that they've been in maybe a similar situation. I've been outside work, and so I can feel a bit more comfortable talking to them about things.
One of the things I always did with Scrum was throw in another question. So instead of like, what did you do yesterday, what are you doing today, and you walk about everything, what's the best thing that's happened to you in the last 24 hours?
Yep.
You run that in a team for a couple of weeks, and the team will have more trust. Because you'll get to know so much more about each other, and you'll also, especially because you're talking about the best things, you're talking about positive things, so you'll align around with that.
Yeah, so you see other people as people rather than just a collection of their problems.
Yeah, and it's usually something everyone can have a laugh about. So it's usually about the football, or something they ate, or something the children did.
Yeah, so definitely within teams, within Scrum teams, etc. I think I know a lot of Scrum Masters that absolutely build the team up and the trust within the team by different techniques like that. So it's very much more retrospectives shouldn't just always be about the issues we've had, but what else has been happening in your lives the last 2 weeks and so on.
My question is, I work with people that I definitely trust, but I don't necessarily get along with them as a person. Do you have to get along with a person to trust them?
No, I wouldn't say so.
So, because I don't necessarily, there's someone in my team who I definitely trust to do the work that we're doing, and we both share the common goal of the company. But I'm not intimate with them in any way.
Right.
We
So,
bicker with each other constantly.
so this doesn't always mean about being pally with somebody, but it means about having a comfortable situation where you're quite comfortable with maybe testing the boundaries or maybe something you're trying to do without a fear of getting shut down about it. So this can be all within the context of your work. It doesn't have to be we go to the pub together and have a few pints after work kind of thing.
So that intimacy is just as much about understanding the strengths and weaknesses of one another so in that kind of situation you've probably got a strong understanding of what they are good at and what they're not, and hopefully vice versa. And I imagine that's where that intimacy is coming from. It's an understanding of one another, not necessarily a liking of.
Yeah, I mean it's developing, so you're feeling comfortable. There's mutual respect and honesty and openness. So you're not. It's not about we like each other. I mean that's obviously helpful. I'm not saying we shouldn't strive for that, but it doesn't mean you're best of buddies outside work and so on. Doesn't necessarily mean that. But what in this kind of situation we'd be hoping that we're not in a situation where we're talking about, well, you know what, I'd like to try and do something a bit different, and there's a fear of even suggesting that. You've got enough of a relationship there where you actually feel quite safe. So this vulnerability thing, again, you feel quite safe, and back to what I think John will be talking about later on, you feel quite safe to sort of suggest something. You have that kind of level of the intimacy there. Yeah.
Hopefully you can have a good team without having some conflict, because otherwise
Yeah.
you've just got this artificial harmony and you get along like a Care Bears.
Yeah.
You do need a bit of tension.
Yeah. So in real life, this is something. It's like a lot of things in Agile. We're continuously improving and tweaking this. This is not something we do once. This is something that so we encourage teams, individuals, and groups to be aware of this, to be more aware of trust. I'm really surprised that a lot of Agile teams great at sort of measuring velocity, cumulative flow, all the process-driven stuff, but there's in a lot of situations maybe a a lack of knowledge or appreciation of what's involved in trust. Yeah. So this is quite new to a lot of Agile teams about how, what is trust all about, but yet alone, right in our Agile manifesto and our Agile principles that we're trusted to get the job done. And trust is very important for Agile to be successful in my view. But so, hence we're trying to share this to try and, as a starting point about, this isn't just a starting point about building trust. It's a massive topic. This is just one little bit of it, and but hopefully it's been helpful. So I think on that note, I'll wrap up. Duncan, yep. So if you want to get in touch, any other questions, that's my Twitter and email address. Yeah, and we'll obviously be having any more questions outside. So thank you very much. Thanks.